Welcome, Anne. Hello, Barry.
Hello, James.
Hello, Julian. Yeah, hello, Madeline. Hello.
James, I have to leave class a little early today.
Okay,
Sorry.
you will be missed, Anne, but yes, go well. Okay. Yeah, hello, Lucy. Welcome. And Dilly, welcome back. Kath, we haven't seen you for a while, Kath. You're still muted. Anyway, lovely to see you back. Yes, Madeline, welcome. We'll have Chris just joining. Yeah, welcome back, Paladin. And Chris, hello.
Sorry, James. I've gone and picked up some kind of bug, so I've got I've got a sore throat and I'm coughing all over the place. So I'll just listen and watch today, if that's okay, rather than attempt to chant.
Okay, poor fellow. Well, I wish you a speedy return to health, Chris, but okay, that's fine. Right, so last week we were looking at the Buddhacharyavatara, chapter 6, verse 28. And I know that Madeline had some comments or queries about this Vishaya Vyapritatvat, which I'll be very happy to deal with. Was I meant to be receiving anything from you?
I sent you the email. I don't know if you received it, but I can send it again.
If you could send it again, please.
You mean now or after the class?
You can send it right now. I've got my
right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Sorry
look
about that. I think I must have missed it.
Yeah,
I'm just looking in my.
I don't know if you got it, but if you want, I can try to send it again.
So, and you do have the Rizq, R-I-Z-Q in your email address,
No,
don't you?
R-I-Z-K, K, not Q.
Okay, so I'm just looking.
It's okay, don't, but I will
No,
send it to you.
I found, do you know, it was my error. It has come. You did send it on the 4th
Yeah.
at 15:30, but I missed it. I do apologize for that.
It doesn't matter, but I have the notes here.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, but the confusion about Vyapritatvat. Why not read it Vyapritavat? Okay, that part of it, I'll certainly deal with that part of it. And if there's and then before the next time, with my apologies for not having opened it first time.
No problem.
But Vyapritatvat. Okay, let's deal with that immediately.
Yes.
So by reason of being engaged with something. So let me just call up the. I'm just going to share screen with you. I'll do now. recalibrate my screen. Yeah, welcome back, Sanyu. So I'll call up both the text and then Madeline's query about it. Here we are. So I'll just read through the entire verse and then settle down to the place, the point of difficulty that Madeline had. So, Anupannang hitannasti ka iched bhavitun tada vishaya vyapritatvacha niruddhumapi nehate. So we've got this vyapritatvat. And if I understand the query, Madeline was wondering why the t that I've highlighted there is there.
Yes.
So that actually the answer to that one is fairly simple. We've got the oops. Oh, sorry, I mucked up my screen again. So we have this adjective. Oops.
Can we see the iPad, please, James?
Sorry, yeah. The iPad is doing this earlier as well. I was just having a little bit of trouble with my pen. Okay, so we've got this adjective vyaprita, and it's from the root pri, meaning just to be busy or to be engaged with something, with the two prefixes v and a. So vyaprita, and it is a regularly formed past participle, vyaprita.
Yes.
Okay, now Madeleine's dictionary referred her to a past participial form, vyapritavat. The past active participle form, which we haven't actually dealt with in any great detail yet, so we can. I won't go down this rabbit hole right now. That's it's an active past participle form, so active PP. But the form that we're looking at here, Madeleine, is simply a completely different word, and I'll explain why.
Oh, okay.
We've got the freestanding, called an adjective here, the freestanding adjective, vyaprita, a past participle adjective, to which is added simply the suffix toi.
Oh,
And it's that suffix toi that is one of the ways of making an abstract noun. So vyaprita toi is a regular and normal way of forming a noun, an abstract noun, from
yes.
the adjective vyaprita.
Yeah.
Just for example, as you can have from the word Buddha, you can actually make the abstract noun Buddhatva, which in English would be Buddhahood, the quality or status of being a Buddha.
Yes.
So it's the suffix twa. And also from our root as, meaning to be, the irregular, it's a bit of an irregular verb. It makes its stem form of the present participle as sat, not asat, but just sat. The first vowel drops. And you do the same in Latin, and you do the same in French, you French speakers, because you have the Latin verb esse, which in colloquial Latin, vulgar Latin, became essere or estere, which in French, modern French, became être. But that first vowel often drops. That's you say nous sommes,
Oui.
ils sont. So that's the same verb, but with the loss of the first vowel of esse, estre, that first drops. The same phenomenon, oddly enough, is displayed in Sanskrit. So from this root as, you get asmi, asi, asti, but in the plural it drops sma, santi. So they are, it's not asanti. If it were a regular verb, it would be asanti. If in Latin, it would be, sorry, it's going. The same phenomenon, welcome Marco, the same phenomenon we see occurring in Sanskrit, and that's where we get the stem of the present participle is sat. It's also used as a neuter noun meaning being. In Sanskrit, you have the asat, that which is not, and therefore the untrue. You have that lovely chant. You may know it, Marco. Asato ma sad. Marco, can you chant it for us, this lovely Sanskrit chant? Sorry to dump it on you 5 seconds after you've joined us.
I'm not able. I would love to.
Okay,
I don't
right.
know the word. Thank you.
Okay, no, okay. It's specifically a Hindu chant, but asato ma sadgamaya, from the untrue or from the unreal, lead us to the real. So sat, with the same ending twa that I've just mentioned, you get the word sattva.
Yes.
Now, sattva can have 2 separate meanings. You have, as a neuter, a neuter noun, sattvam, it means being, just as l'être et le néant, being and non-being, just the idea of being. But it can also be a masculine noun, a bit unusually, because normally this ending toi is neuter, and it makes a neuter abstract noun. But I don't know if there are any other words, but certainly this sattva is the most common, maybe unique. And it means not only being in the abstract, but a being, as in a human being. And in that sense, it's used as a masculine noun. And I sign off some of my emails with Sarve Sattvaha Sukhita Bhavantu. This is all beings. So this is the twa ending that we're looking at here that makes the abstract noun. So
But sattva, sattva also means good quality. How to say, a sattvic person. It means
exactly so.
somebody who is good.
Exactly so. So
yeah.
the three doshas, there's
Yeah.
sattva, tamas,
Yes.
and rajas.
Yes, yes.
So those are the 3 guna, the 3 kind of underlying qualities of all of existence. Meaning of sattva there is that which really is, that which is essential. And indeed, our English word via the French from Latin, essential, that which belongs to the true essence, meaning the being of something. And then by extension, it started off just meaning being as opposed to non-being, but by extension, it has the meanings of goodness and truth. As for example, from that same as and sat, we have satya, meaning a truth.
Yes. Yes.
That's the one that becomes satya. in Pali, you get the Arya Satyani, the noble truths. In Sanskrit, would be the Arya Satyani. So as I say, that's how it moved from just the ordinary meaning of is, to be, to its extended meaning of goodness and truth. And then in the Ayurvedic diet, for example, you have sattvic food as opposed to tamasic food and rajasic food. So the sattvic food will nourish your essence more spiritually as well as physically, spiritually nourishing, whereas the rajasic food will be like hot curries will fire up the blood. The tamasic food will make you lethargic and dull. So we have the wonderful ways that these meanings have been extended from pure being into truthfulness, essentialness, and spirituality, even in the case of sattva. Anyway, hopefully that explains your query.
Yeah.
You're right about
Yes.
the past participle, but you were simply
Yes.
looking at the wrong word or the wrong ending on the word.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah,
Anyway,
it's clear. It's clear now. Thank you
I'm
very
glad it is.
much.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you.
thank you. Now that I've found your email, again, my apologies, I didn't see it for
No
first time round.
problem.
I shall
No.
pay proper attention to it between now and the next week. So
No
thank
problem.
you for that,
Thank you
Madeleine.
very much.
Right. So Vishaya Vyapritatvacha, the Vishaya, I've done a separate note on it in the explanatory glossary. Basically, it just means a range, it's like a sphere of operation of anything. And by extension, it's come to mean the senses, as in the senses of the body. The idea being that that visual, you have the faculty of being able to see, and visual objects are the vishaya of your faculty of seeing. It's their range of operation. Audible sounds are the vishaya of your ability to hear, and likewise for the other senses. So that was the original meaning of the word vishaya, the range or sphere of action. And then by extension, it came to mean the senses themselves, and by further extension, sense enjoyments. Just as we could do in English. I mean, the original meaning of the word senses is just perceiving something, and from the Latin sentire. And then if somebody says, talk about the senses, we often have that extended meaning in English of the pleasures of the senses are being lured from one's practice, from one's discipline by the pleasures of the senses. The same meaning has occurred, or the same, I should say, logical progression of meaning has occurred in Sanskrit. So Vishaya Vyapritatvat, because of being busy with in whatever its sphere of operation is. Here, Vishaya is not so much the sense, but the sphere of operation. So what it's saying here, whatever exists is so busy being what it is and doing what it does within its own sphere of operation. Niruddham api nihete. It doesn't even want to cease. So niruddhum api, even to cease, na ihate, it does not want. So last time we spoke, it was, I think you again, Madeleine, you were asking me to say some more on this niruddhum and nirodha. I'm going to do a little bit more on it. I've just had a rather heavy week. But basically in Sanskrit, the basic meaning in Sanskrit is just to block something or stop it.
Yes.
And it has, and also with the prefix ni, The idea of block down, block it off, or close, even closing a door as well. And it has mostly a transitive meaning in Sanskrit. But then it, outside the Vishaya, outside the range of classical Sanskrit, into Buddhism, it took on a specialized meaning of, as it were, the cutting off, the final sensation of what is negative in our lives. So remember that nirodha, like an ordinary physical word in Sanskrit, stopping or blocking something, whereas it took on a specialized meaning in Buddhism. And for example, in Pali, in the in the Four Truths, you've got the way that leads to the ending of suffering. It's the dukkha nirodha gamini patipada, which in Sanskrit would be the dukkha nirodha gamini pratipada, would be almost the same in Sanskrit. So dukkha nirodha, the ending of suffering, but with a bit of a specialized meaning is the complete extinction or cutting off, like the final blocking of the avenue by which these influences can come in. But I'll give a little bit more about this. I don't know if I'll be able to do it within the course of the next week, but certainly within two weeks, I'll come back to you with more on this rather important word. And
Thank you.
any of you who gain insights into it in the meantime, they will also be welcome when we're
Thank
here
you.
next time
Yes.
round.
Thank you.
Maybe James is connected to the root rud, to grow, not longer, not any longer growing, going on.
Nirut, that's an interesting point, Marco. Yes, if you are Nirut, it was blocking the growth of something, blocking it expanding. Let me in the intervening week, I'll see if I can find out, or week or two, as I say, I'll see if I can find out more about that. So just make a note on that. Any connection with Ru? Interesting one, that. I'll research further, Marco. Thank you. So the grammar of this sentence is actually reasonably simple. So I'll just go through it once more, read it through once more, and quickly analyze once more, and then we can do some recitation of it. So anutpannang hitannasti icched bhavitun tada vishaya vyapritatvacha niruddhumapi nehate. So the hi has the conjunctive for, like in French, where you begin a sentence with car, meaning for that reason I say this because of what's gone before. For the unarisen, or as for the unarisen, the anutpannam, so far as concerns that which has not arisen, then nasty, that doesn't exist. Ka iched bhavitun tada. Tada normally means then, but here, in that case, in such a case, ka ichet bhavitum, who could want to be. So something that has not yet arisen cannot have the desire to arise, because who would be doing the desiring for something that doesn't exist at all? And Vishaya Vyapritatvacha, and because it's so busy in its own sphere of operation, its own Vishaya, Niruddhumapi Nehate. It cannot, it would not wish even to cease. So before we do the recitations, are there any observations or questions about this verse? And we can start reciting. Okay, we'll start reciting then. Of course, any questions can be asked at any time. So Anne is first in my gallery. Would you like to recite for us?
Okay, I'll try. Anutpanam hitanashti kaiche bhavitum tada. Vishaya vyapritatvacha nirodhum apine hate.
Okay, that was pretty good. And you've got this tongue twister of Vushya Vyapritadvacha. That came out pretty well, I'd say. One thing, this anuswara before the he.
Mm-hmm.
I think I am right in saying that I've heard the Brahmins pronounce it as an l sound. Marco, when you're teaching chanting, how do you teach the anuswara before a h? Is it with the l sound? Anutpananghi. I think I've heard the Brahmins chanting.
N sound. I'm not sure, but yes.
Yeah, I think I've heard
Nasal
Anutpananghi. And I think it's because the h arises, or voiced, it's a h, arises around the same place as the k and the g. So we would kind of half expect the anuswara to take that called anutpananghi. So I think that's the with an anutpananghi. I think that's correct. We'll go for it for the time being. If anyone finds any evidence to the contrary, always happy to receive evidence to the contrary. And again, here, Anne, this applies to everybody. We had the bhavit. We write bhavitum with an M with a dot under, followed by tada, but it would be pronounced as a n because of the following term, bhavitun tada. So it takes on the quality of the following consonant. And so if bhavitun tada. And of course, if the following consonant, for example, were a p or a b, then it would be pronounced as pure m. But the reason then is because it's immediately followed by a labial, so it would take on the character. So anupananghi and bhavitun tada. So the simple rule is always let this anuswara flow into the following consonant and it'll get itself naturally right, or in almost all cases will get itself naturally right. Okay, thank you, Anne. And Barry, we're round to you.
Okay. Anutpannam hitanasti ka iched bhavitum tada. Vishaya vyapritatvacha nirodhum api nehate.
Okay, that was pretty good, Barry. Can you just pronounce the anutpanamhi again?
Anutpanamhi.
Not with an M, but with an m sound, as you know, as we typically write with an ng in English. Anutpanamhi.
Anutpanamhi.
Did I see your lips closing there? Anutpanamhi.
Anutpanamhi.
That's perfect. That was it. Exactly. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Lucy, we are round to you.
Yes. Anutpanam hi tanastika iched bhavintum tada. Visaya via pritat vacha nirudum api nehate.
Lucy, I feel delighted that even between now and last week, you've been rising above your native French accent, and we are now hearing more the accent of the land of the Buddha.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, it is marked. I can clearly hear it. So can you just do this? Do the first line again. Just listen to me again. Anutpannang hitannasti ka iched bhavitun tada.
Anutpanam hi hitan nasti ka iched bhavintum tada.
Now that's really beginning to sound very Indian, Lucy. I'm delighted to hear it. Okay, thank you, Lucy. That's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Julian, do you feel inclined to have a go with this verse?
Yes, James.
There we are. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the floor is yours, Julian.
Anutpanam hitadna asti ka iche bhavitum tada visaya vyapratavat ka nirodham apina ihate.
You've been practicing your chanting, Julian, because that came out a lot more melodiously than on previous occasions.
James, thank you.
Have you been learning chanting?
I think I've been listening in along with Barry. We usually end up on some of the Zoom classes, whether it be with Rangjula or whether it even be with the fundamental Zen with Rohit.
Okay, right. So
chanting as well. So that's kind of got me that's fueled my my love for the chanting.
excellent. I'm so pleased to hear that, Julian. However, one thing I detected from the way that you were pronouncing it, that you were looking in this box.
I end up always going down to that box there, James.
Because I could tell because you were saying na-i-hate.
Na-i-hate. I always end up going down to that one.
So as you know, I think that I write here in this last box na-i-hate. That's for the sandhi vigraha, taking out the sandhi. That's just to help the students to analyze the words. But when it's actually coming out of our mouths, we would never say na-i-hate. It would always have to be ne-hate.
Ne-hate.
Okay,
so the best box to actually read from. What's the difference between the first box and the second box? Just there. So there's the first box Unatpanam. The second box is just the same, but.
Okay, it's almost the same, and I'll tell you what the difference is, and so you can all see. In fact, they've made a mistake in the first box. There's two words should be run together. Tanasi. In the first box, I exactly reproduce how the Devanagari script runs. So you see, if you see Tanasti, because you've got a double n there where I'm highlighting, it's kind of written all as as if it were all one word. So Tanasti. So I written it as Tanasti because that's how it is in the Devanagari. Basically, the first box reflects the spelling of general orthographic conventions of the Devanagari. And equally here, in Nirodhumapi, there are two separate words. Nirodhumapi are two separate words.
Okay.
But because of the spelling convention of the Devanagari, the is written as if it were part of the same word. So in English, Nirod, or any of the European languages, Nirodhum api, but there, this sound is the m. So this m that I've highlighted, it's the last sound of Nirodhum, but the first sound of api.
Okay.
And equally, you see, nehate, nehate there in Devanagari, nehate there. But you see, in the next box down, I've assisted the student by putting the circumflex accent over the A.
Over the A, okay.
And that alerts you that it's the circumflex accent always alerts you in this system of transliteration that it's the merger of two vowels.
Yes.
Remember well that this circumflex accent, there is nothing in the Devanagari script that reflects it. It is purely a learning aid for students who are using the Roman script, just to remind you. And also another one, Vishya Vyapritadvacha. You see, because of the Devanagari spelling conventions, it's all written as one word. But here, and that's why I've written it as one word there, but here I've split it up, Vishaya hyphen Vyapritadvacha, and the cha is a separate word, and so I've written it in that way. So basically, Devanagari, the next box exactly reflects the spelling and conventions of the Devanagari. The third box splits it up more simply to assist the student. And the fourth box then completely splits it up and parses it word by word. So you get descending measures of, so ascending measures of the degree of assistance given to the student.
Because I usually find just down here on the third one, it kind of breaks everything up a little bit, and it's sometimes that seems a little bit easier to go to that one, but the best one to try and really learn from is the first two up there.
Okay, what I would say in response to that, what you've said is absolutely correct, but with the slight caution that this box here breaks it down word by word to explain each individual word and why it's that. So which is fine for the purposes of your preliminary study, making sure you've got each individual word correct. But when you come to recite it as a flowing text, then you know you should use that. You should use any of the top three boxes you can use to recite it as a flowing text. So as a preliminary study, use that box. Then when you're reciting it, go on to the upper ones, because if you were saying na-ihate, that's simply kind of wrong Sanskrit. They'd never say na-ihate.
Na-ihate, ne-hate.
It would be ne. So you can talk about na-ihate if you're analyzing the grammar, but as soon as you're reciting it, it has to be ne-hate.
Ne-hate.
Okay, Julian, you got it.
Thank you, James. God
Okay,
bless.
thank you,
Cheers.
Julian. Kath, we're round to you. Please come in.
Okay. Anutpannang hitannasti ka ichid bhavitun tada vishaya vyapratatvacha nirodhumapi nehate.
Was really lovely as always. What could you just chant this pada again, just the second half of the second line, just so that we can all hear how you've still got the long O, but followed by the double consonant.
Nirodhumapi nehate.
Yeah, and that, thank you very much, Kath. And this brings out an important point for the several Pali students who are also here, that it's important to emphasize that in Sanskrit, the E and the O are always long, whatever follows them. In Pali, the E and the O can be pronounced short if followed by a consonant cluster. So in Pali, that would be pronounced the short O, nirodhum. But in Sanskrit, as Kath has correctly shown, it's always long in Sanskrit. And for example, the word metta in Pali, you hear a short eh there, metta. In Sanskrit, it's a different word in Sanskrit, it's maitriya in Sanskrit. But if metta were if metta were a Sanskrit word, you'd still hear that long e before the double T, metta, whereas in Pali, metta. So for those of you who are studying both, remember A and O always invariably absolute rule long in Sanskrit, but can be long or short in Pali, depending whether or not they're followed by a consonant cluster. Okay, thank you very much, Kath. Madeline, we're round to you.
Yes. Anutpannan hi tanastika iched bhavitun tada vishaya vyapritatvacha nirodhumapi nehate.
Okay, pretty good, but I felt the slight gravitational pull of the phonetics of French there. Where in French you more tend to give a vowel its length according to its place in the word. In Sanskrit, it's dictated by other factors. It needs to be short or long. So to say Vishaya Vyapritatvacha. Vishaya Vyapritatvacha.
Vishaya vyapritatvacha.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that was much better, Madeline. Excellent.
Thank you.
I won't say I'll cure the French speakers of being French, but I wouldn't say a thing like, would I? But anyway, I can see we all have our different things to struggle with, the native English speakers or the native French speakers, or indeed the native Italian. We've got how many? We have a wonderful cosmopolitan. We have Burmese, Italian, Sri Lankan, native French speakers, and native English speakers. We have a wonderful array here. What other languages do you speak, Anne, as a first language?
A native first language, American English.
Okay, I was just wondering, were you brought up with any other languages?
Well, we traveled a lot because my father was in the military, so I have what you call general American accent.
Okay, right.
So,
maybe
West
I was
Coast, East Coast.
Okay, maybe I was trying to detect something from your name.
I was going to volunteer that the American English would be like a separate English.
As a linguist, I'm not quite going to allow. It's a recognized variant. And besides, you're going to have so many varieties there between the kind of the hillbilly Texan and the kind of refined Bostonian.
Yes, yes.
Actually, look, you mentioned that your father being in the military. I'll share with you a really funny story. It was just blew my mind yesterday at our centre in Manchester. We had a school visit from 60 or so school children with their teachers, and we had the benefit, and they were coming to learn about Buddhism, just little talks about it. And we had this Thai monk. He's been a monk for over 40 years. Sudhiro is his name, and he's been visiting us. And these school children eagerly asked him about the monk's life and how long he'd been a monk, and a little bit about Buddhism. And one of the children, this was the class of the ages were 10 and 11. One of the children asked, "What did you do before you became a monk?" And it's a question I'd never thought to ask him. He's in his 60s now. And the answer just blew me away. And he said that he'd been in the Royal Thai Army, Special Forces. He'd been a paratrooper in the Royal Thai Army. So far, so good. Then he started explaining one particular battle that he'd been in, because there was an incursion. He didn't like to name the country, but I assume it might have been an incursion either from Cambodia or Vietnam that they had to repel with military force. And then this wonderful serene old monk who spent many years in a cave, about 7 years in a cave. Now I could see him going back to his military days, and he was describing how he was parachuting down right onto the enemy and was having to fire on them as he was parachuting down. And then even more detail, he said, look, you go down with 2 machine guns. That if you're parachuting and you're firing just with 1 machine gun, the recoil of the gun will twist you around in your parachute. So you have to fire with both guns at the same time to keep level. It's just so wonderful to hear the serene old monk talking about how to shoot on the enemy while you're parachuting down onto them. Goodness me.
Wow.
So these military backgrounds can still emerge within the Buddhist context. Okay, so
Yes,
who is
yes.
next? I think we're on to Paladin. Follow that one, Paladin.
I can't. I'm not going to try. Anutpannam tanasti ka iched bhavitum tada vishaya vya pratvacha nirodhum apine hate.
We want a very distinct double N there. Tanasti.
Tanasti.
Of course, by Santi of the tat nasty becomes tad nasty and then tan nasty. Can you recite the first line again, but with special care on the doublings and indeed the anuswara?
Anutpannam hi tanasti ka iched bhavitum tada.
Okay, that was much better. You'd allowed yourself to relax too much, I think, Paladin. Anyway, it came out very well indeed. It's the second time round. Right, Delhi. We will now have a lovely Sri Lankan version.
Anutpannang hitannasti kaiched bhavitum tada vishayavya pratatvacha nirodhumapi nehate. As
always, you came out like a daughter of the land of the Buddha. Wonderful. Thank you, Delhi.
Thank you.
Okay. Teresa. In fact, along the bottom row of my gallery, I've got Sri Lanka, Ireland, Italy, and Burma. So it's one wonderful mix.
Anutpannam hi tanasti ka iched bhavitun tada vishaya vya pratatvacha nirodhum api ne hate.
The consonants came out very well, but some of the vowel lengths got distorted. Could you just say Anutpannam hi tanasti?
Anutpannam hi tanasti.
Now say the same again, but with special care for the double N there, Anutpannam and Anutpannam hi tanasti.
Anutpannam hi tanasti.
Okay, that was much better there, because the native English speaker will have the tendency to ignore the doubling of the vowel, simply because we don't do it in English. Whereas by sharp contrast, our native Italian speakers, we'll be hearing in a moment, well, they got so many doubled vowels in Italian that they would never miss it. And it's just perfectly normal in Italian. Okay, so thank you, Teresa, and we're round to you, Marco, please.
Anutpannam hi tanasti ka iched bhavitum tada vishaya vyapraptatvacha nirodhum apine hate.
Okay, I really like that way of chanting. Can you do it once more for us, Marco?
Anutpannam hi tanasti ka iched bhavitum tada vishaya vyaprtatvacha Nirodhum Abhinehate.
Okay, thank you. My musical ear isn't very good, and that's my loss. But was it the same style as Kath's style of chanting, the same kind of tune? I think it was. And you both know how to chant very well. Is it the same style that you're using?
Yes, it's very widespread and common.
Okay, right. Okay, great, thank you. And finally, we're round to Sanyu, and then we'll go on to our next text.
Before starting,
About the meaning of the text,
Oh,
sorry.
yes. About the meaning of the text.
Yeah, here he's saying more or less, if I understood, that when it's not, something is not in the sphere of existence, there is no desire whatsoever to get into this kind of small reality we are in. But once you are here under the constrictions and dominion of the sphere of the senses, you can't have any small tendency to go towards nirodha, a cessation. It's like you get attached, and is it a possible meaning?
I think that probably is, if I don't know if I correctly understood the second part of what you were saying. It said it, in the second line, I think that if something is in existence, if something is already in existence, then it becomes so engaged in what it's doing that it doesn't even think of ceasing. Of course, talking about our human life, and also all kind of sentient things generally. That's how I understood it. So if something doesn't, in the first line, if something does not yet exist, what is there that wants to exist? There's nothing to do the wanting. And in the second line, once something does exist, it can't want to cease, or doesn't want to cease. Why doesn't it want to? Because it's already so busy, as it were, senses turned outwards, the Vishaya Vyapratatvat, being so busy with the objects of the senses. And is that how you see it as well, Marco?
Yes, I was wondering just this, because usually in Buddhist philosophy, when you are...
I'm sorry, say those last words again, I didn't catch.
Yes, exactly so. But the only thing which is a bit difficult to understand is because in Buddhist philosophy, when you die, you are not in existence, but you have still this desire, the samskara, the karmic traces, bring you again to take a new birth in a new body. So usually there is still a tendency, a desire to get back.
Yeah, I hadn't. That's really. I hadn't actually looked at the verse in that way. Of course, in the first line, and we know we know from the Buddhism that we've studied that there is the after death, something, there is a force that desires to be reborn. But I don't think that Shantideva could be talking about that in this line. I think he's talking, not say about somebody's died and then there is this whatever it is that wants to be reborn. I think the Anutpanam here refers to something that doesn't exist at all, that has never even started to exist. I think that's the only way that I could make sense of that. Because if Shantideva had been talking here about, you know, the samsara, you die, and then, you know, particularly in the Tibetan tradition, we see a lot about it. You die, and then there is something that desires to be reborn. I don't think that Shantideva can be talking about that at all in this first line. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense. I think he's talking about things that just just do not exist at all. But that's an interesting point. I'll think more about it in the intervening period, Marco. But yeah, that's interesting new light on it.
Thank you.
Well,
Usually,
thank you.
Anutpanna is referred to Shunyata. We have the same expression also in the Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra at a certain point. So it could be possibly, as you said, referring to the ultimate reality.
Okay, so whether either is or is not a cognitive reality in existence, you mean? Oh, can you remember offhand in what context the word utpanna or anutpanna occurs in the Heart Sutra?
When there is a sequence of adjective saying, if I remember correctly, Anpurna, Purna, not lacking of anything, still not complete. Then it says not related, Anutpanna, and there are 4 or 5 adjectives and the contrary in the same verse, one after the other.
Okay, right. That rings a slight bell. So perhaps we could both, in the meantime, I'll go back to the Heart Sutra and we'll just see what more we can find to throw light on the meaning of the utpanna and anutpanna here.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Thank you. Right, we're finally round to Sanyu.
And first of all, how to pronounce the second line, the first one? I have difficulty to read it.
So which one?
Second line, the first word.
Vishaya.
Vishaya.
Vishaya. Vishaya.
Vishaya via.
Vishaya vyapritatva is Vishaya vyaprita.
Vishaya vyapritatvacha.
Okay, so the adjective on its own, let me separate them out here.
Okay.
So we've got the vyaprita. In fact, you can separate it out further. Oops. We've got prita.
Okay.
Then with the first upasarga, the first verbal prefix is aprita. Aprita. And then with the second prefix, very often it happens in Sanskrit, you can get 2, sometimes 3, or even 4, but 2 is very common. So vyaprita.
Vyaprita.
Vyaprita means engaged with something or busy. In fact, in modern Hindi, the verbal noun, it's vyapara in Sanskrit, just vyapar in Hindi. In modern Hindi, vyapar just means business, as in doing business. So we've got vyaprita, then we've got the abstract noun with a twa. So vyapritatvam would be being engaged, being busy. And this is the ablative of cause. Vyapritatvat means because of being busy, by reason of being busy. So Vishaya vyapritatvat would mean by reason of being busy with the sense spheres, or spheres of operation. And then, as you've seen, the at-cha, the cha becomes a double cha and written like that. Vishaya vyapritatvacha.
Vishaya vyapritatvacha.
Wonderful. It came out beautifully there, Sanyu. Excellent.
Thank you. I start.
Okay, so let me just restore this text. There we are. Okay, so are you clear to go, Sanyu?
Anutpanam hitanastika iche bhavitum tada vishayavya pratat vishayavya pratat vacha nirodhamapi nihate.
Okay, there's one point I'll pick you up on. When you're reciting a line, it's fine to make a natural break in the words, just a little pause. But here you said anutpannam hitanastika iched bhavitun tada. The ka goes with iched. So ka iched means who could want, who might want. So if you can just repeat it again, but remember the if you want to make a little break, put after the nasty, then ka iched bhavitun tada. Who might want in that case to be? So could you do, if you do that first line again?
Anutpanam hitanasti kaiche bhavitum tada.
Okay, very good.
Thank
But you
you.
need to say tannasti, tannasti.
Tannasti.
Okay, right, with that double n, pronounced quite clearly. Okay, excellent. So, we can deal with any comments or queries, and then we move on to the Bhagavad Gita.
James, with regard to chanting, last week you recommended we listen to a lady called Gabriella. I can't remember her second name.
Bernal, I think.
Yeah, Bernal, that's right. No, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh, you opened the link, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
I'd recommend other members of the group to
Yeah.
listen to her. I mean, she sings so beautifully and fluently, and in one part, she does a sort of harmony as well, which is quite astonishing. I think it's beautifully musical, and I'd recommend people to have a listen to that.
Well, I'm really pleased that you've said that, Barry. That she's she's English, but she just has this phenomenal way of chanting in Sanskrit. The melody. She's obviously a natural musician as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful singing voice, and a very profound knowledge of Sanskrit. So I'm glad that you have had the same experience there, Barry.
I certainly did. And in fact,
Yeah.
I asked my wife to listen as well because I was so I thought it was so good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, there we are. So there's the strong recommendation for Gabriella Bernal. I seem to remember saying to this group, with not all of you here, quite some time ago, when also recommending that particular chant, that I only have one problem there with Gabriella Bernal. The one problem I have is that I'm much too old to ask her to marry me. But apart from that, she is to be recommended, thoroughly recommended.
She's quite gorgeous as well, isn't she?
We don't talk about that kind of. She's really gorgeous as well. Yes. Is that a point that you would necessarily have made to your esteemed lady wife, Barry?
No, not that particular one. No.
Good. Okay. So you now have the highest possible recommendation for Gabriella Bernal. As I say, despite being English, has a very special place among the Sanskrit chanters, and the links are in the updated study resources guide. I mentioned it, I think, in my last email, the particular page where those links could be found. And also there's that lovely father and young son team chanting Bhagavad Gita who also do it beautifully.
Yeah, I listened to that as well.
Yeah. And the little boy even seems to be enjoying it, doesn't he? Okay, there we are. So we can move on now to the Bhagavad Gita. Let me just make a note. Oops. Oops. Right. So we'll call up the next text. Where are we? I've encountered a problem. I don't know if anybody can help me out of it. I have somehow managed to drag the Bhagavad Gita screen so it's disappeared off the bottom. Let me close that one. It's not there. Clicking on W to call up Word. And maybe I'll just close it and reopen, see if I can get back to it. Sorry about this. Technical fault. Technical error on my part, I should say. Thanks. Be a bit of a problem. Ah, we're back. We're back. Good. Recovered it. Sorry about that. Seven. Right, so Bhagavad Gita, 2.7. So the chanters among you might have a bit of a problem because it's exceptionally long lines here, so it's a different rhythm and different tune. So I'll read it out in just ordinary prose style. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yat shreyahasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam. Once more. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prichhami tvam dharma sammudha chetaha yat shreyahasyan nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadhimam tvam prapannam.
James, the second line, the last letter, I think it's M instead of H.
Thank you.
Prapannam. Yeah,
Thank you.
Please.
It was a typing error on my part.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Because Madeleine has rightly pointed out, this is it's the accusative. It agrees with Twam. Shadhima, sorry, it agrees with Mam. Shadhimam, teach me, Twam Prapannam, who have gone to you, who have fallen before you. Thank you for that, Madeleine. So, right up to Swabhavada, karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha is one compound adjective. I've split it here. That's the hyphen for swabhava, the hyphen karpanya dosha, and the circumflex accent over the o, representing the fact that it's santi. It's the dosha upahata, becomes doshopahata. So we've got 4 words. You could even make it 5 words here, but swabhava, that's easy enough. We have from the root bhu, we have bhava, meaning being or state of being. One's swabhava, literally it means literally self-being, and therefore one's nature, one's self, what one is. So with my, and this is an adjective by which Arjuna is describing himself. So I, who am karpanya doshopahata swabhava, prichhami tvam, I ask you. So the swabhava with my nature, upahata. So upa is actually directly cognate with our English word up, and hata means like hit or beaten. So upahata, in English we say like beaten up, and that's exactly what it means here, with my nature beaten up. By what? Beaten up by what? Karpanya dosha. By the dosha, by the vice, the fault. What fault? Karpanya dosha. Karpanya here has the meaning of being kind of feeble, weak, miserable. Miserable in more the miserabile sense, and worthy of pity, something to be pitied. Translated as a faint-heartedness, just lost his strength. In fact, there's quite an interesting origin there. You have the I don't know whether any of you have managed to delve into this
Yes.
explanatory lexicon. I know that
Yes.
some of you have.
I like it very much, this glossary. What I do, I copy paste on my page when I study, so that I have the explanation in front of me when I go back to the course. So I like it very, very much. It helps a lot.
Thank you very much, because okay, so, and that gladdens my heart to hear you say that, Madeline, especially since I've spent so many hundreds of hours working on it.
It's a lot of work. It's
but
very much
I've enjoyed doing
appreciated.
it. Oops, sorry, what have I just done? So what happens is, let me remind you, for those who aren't fully up to it, in the earlier texts, and at a certain point several months ago, I started doing it this way. At the bottom, in the last box, I very often do a detailed description of a word. And I found I was repeating so much, I thought, let me gather it all into one place. So when you see a word written at the bottom with the double colon, that's just the lexicographical search tool I borrowed from the Pali Text Society dictionary. So if you just copy that, so copy, and then go to the explanatory lexicon that I have here. Sorry, I started off by calling it the explanatory lexicon. I thought that was a little bit too grandiose, so I demoted it to explanatory glossary. So just the copy and paste. We're now into the paste thing. Now V into the, and that will take you straight to where I've done just where I've analyzed the use of or the meaning of karpanya. So now close the navigation pane. So what I'm generally doing now is just do the, if you want to look up the root, you can look it up in any of these different forms, different transliterations. And then I've taken a little bit from Julius Pokorny, who's done his great Indo-Germanic etymological lexicon. And then just give me a little bit of a history. This one is quite condensed, just so you can get a feel for the origin of the word. I think you should all have a copy of this. I send out updates occasionally with the group emails. So just as I urge you all to take heed of what Barry has said with regard to the chanting of Gabriella Bernal, so equally I urge you to take heed to what Madeleine has said about, hopefully, please make me happy by saying, yes, this lexicon, this glossary is really useful and it helps us. And more as we go along, you'll be seeing words referred to in that way. So thank you for that, Madeleine. You can be
Thank you,
my.
James.
You can be
in
my.
Italian, we still
I think
Addicted.
it's fantastic. In Italian, we have also still nowadays the adjective decrepito, which is referred to the weakness of old age, coming from this root. Interesting.
Ah, the crepito. Yes, of course, il crepito.
But it's like decrepit. It's like decrepit in English.
Decrepit. We do indeed. Yes, of course. Yeah. So in fact, it's from that same root. It's the original meaning is this kind of whining sound, or also even more primitively, a kind of scraping or a creaking sound, like creaking floorboards, creaking bones. And I think in medical terms, crepitus, I think when a doctor uses the Latin word crepitus, I think it means a creaky noise. So that the bones moving smoothly together makes a creaking noise, which is not very good. So there we are. It's from that. Yes, thank you for that, Marco. Il crepito. Yes. So here now we see the origin of this word carpania. You're kind of weak, feeble. You've lost it. You haven't. You've lost this. In particular, Arjuna as a warrior before the battle. He wanted to be at full strength, but this word carpania. He's lost that strength. He's feeble.
James,
the
can I ask
dosha, the crime of Karpanya, the vice of Karpanya. Oh, sorry, yes, carry on.
Is that I have a question, James.
Tulika, yes.
It's Paula here. There's a name in.
I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, I got you wrong.
No worries.
Paula, sorry, I was confusing. Paula, sorry.
Hello. There's a word. There's a name amongst Vaishnavas at least called Kripamoya, and it probably means the compassionate or the merciful, and I just wondered again how this word can have such opposite meanings.
Okay, right. I will tell you exactly, because from this krip, you have in Sanskrit kripate or kripayati. And the original idea was the sound of lamentation, the sound of somebody in distress or in pain. And then that can lead to two things. It's the sense of karuna, compassion that you feel when you are exposed to somebody else's pain. And equally, it can mean, by a further extension, your pain and your weakness, you feel pity towards a person, you feel compassion, but equally, just as in English, somebody is in a pitiable state, means you feel pity for him. So it's almost like grammatical variations. It's the sense of compassion that you feel for somebody in pain is kripa. Karuna is another word, but from this root, kripa. And equally, the description of that state, but here in a pejorative sense, you are in a pitiable state. So we can do almost the same in English. You feel pity for somebody who is in a pitiable state, and you feel kripa for somebody who is in a state of karpanya. It's a bit like the word misery. And we have, for example, in Latin, miserere nos domine, have pity on us, O Lord, in Latin, miserere no domine. And you can have misery, you can be in a miserable state, which will induce, but as a verb in Latin, miserere means to feel compassion for somebody who is in this miserable state. And to miserable means worthy of. Originally, the word misery meant the feeling of compassion that you have towards somebody else. And that's why you're miserable, worthy of somebody feeling misery for you. So you get this grammatical flip between the feeling that pain will arouse in the compassionate person and the actual feeling of pain itself. So there's no contradiction here between kripa and karpanya. So hopefully that deals with your query, Paula.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paula.
Very
Sorry.
appropriate example, James. My compliments.
I'm sorry, say again?
It's a very appropriate example that you made. My compliments. Ingenious.
So your sound is breaking up there. I'm afraid I can't hear well. We've got a problem with your sound, I think.
Sorry, I was just saying that it's really a beautiful example, very appropriate.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully everyone has understood how this has worked then, and thank you, Marco. Okay, I've just seen it's gone 3 o'clock by 6 minutes according to my watch. So I'll just so what I'll do then, we will continue at this point from next time round, and hope you're feeling better by that stage, Chris, and you're free of your ailments. And thank you very much for your contributions, in particular, Marco. That's been extremely useful having you with us as always. And I will see you next week, hopefully.
Thank you, James.
Okay, thank you all very much. Thank you. Bye.
James.
Goodbye.
James.
Thank you. Thank you.
Molte grazie.
Okay. Prego.